Hello my fellow crocheters, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment. It all helps tremendously. Today let's learn how to crochet this very pretty Tunisian crochet stitch. It's very easy. If you're a beginner, you're very easily can do it. And as you see, it looks very good. If you pick a couple of colors that really go well together, this can make a gorgeous blanket. And like I said, very simple. So let's get started. So you can chain any number of chains for this project. If you're doing a blanket, you probably want to grab yourself a nice set of Tunisian crochet hooks. These are hooks that have a long cord attached to them with a stopper at the end. So you can make your chain as long as you want to, and obviously your project as big as you want to. So after you finish chaining, let's go ahead and do your forward pass. And I like to go into that third loop or the back bump. It just makes the edging look nicer. And your forward pass is just basic casting on. You're just picking up your stitches and keeping them on the hook. Also, to prevent the project from curling too much, you can also do a first row of just single crochets and then do your forward pass just as always, and that helps a little bit. Okay, so this is what you have, just your stitches on the hook, and now your return pass, you yarn over and you pull the yarn through 2 loops at the same time, all the way almost to the end. Okay, when you have 2 loops left on your hook, go ahead and grab your other color. This is where we're going to add it. Okay, to start this row, you're going to be doing alternating 2 rows, not counting the return pass. So this one, try to remember which colors you're using and which color you're doing which row. So for the pink here, what I'm doing is I'm going right into that first space, right after the first stitch, and then I'm going into the spaces in between the 2 vertical lines or in between each stitch. If you can see them right there, you see those stitches? So you go right in between them into that big hole. And just you keep going, picking up your stitches, picking up your new color. So you see right in between the 2 vertical stitches. Okay, so for this row, because in the very beginning we went right into the first stitch, we're going to skip that last vertical stitch and we're just going to put your last stitch right there at the end, just like we always do. And that's your first row. Let's say for the pink color, it's always going to be the same. So your return pass, again, it's going to be just the same as always. Just going through 2 loops at the same time, all the way back until you have 2 loops left on the hook. So here, drop that color, your current color, and pick up the color from the first row. So for this row, like I said, we're not going into that first stitch. We're going to go ahead, skip that, and we're going to go in between the 2 stitches, those 2 colors right there. You see the 2 vertical lines? So in between the 2 of them, in between the 2 stitches, not inside the vertical lines. I mean, if you pull it apart, you can see pretty clearly where they are. So this row, because we skipped the first stitch, we got to make sure that we have to get right in there after your last pink stitch, and also at the end here behind those 2 lines. And there you have it. Now you go back just the same way. So now we're going back to the first color, and like I said, it might be easier to remember which row is which if you just think about the colors. So I'm using the pink one, so I know that my pink row is the row that's gonna go into the first stitch and it's gonna skip the last one. So you go in the very first one and then in between the other color. So in between those stitches, the long ones you see, you go right in between them. Again, not inside of them, but in between. Okay, so that last one right there that I covered with my nail, but that's the one you're skipping, and then you're going into under that last stitch. So just the same you did your previous row of the same color. Again, we're going to repeat. They alternate. They look a little different. For me, it's the pink row and the turquoise row. So we're going back to turquoise row. What that means is I'm skipping that first stitch, and I'm going into the second space, right straight in between the previous colors. So since I skipped that beginning, that means I have to go right after that pink stitch and into the very last stitch too. So you just have to remember which color is which. So the row that you skip the stitch in the beginning, that means you have to put it in the very last stitch. The row that you go into the very first stitch, that means you skip the last stitch. So this way you just keep the same number of stitches. And at the end, a very easy way to cast off. You just basically slip stitch it all across your last row. So you go into the same spaces like you did previous rows, same way, and then you just slip stitch. And that gives you a very nice end, very nice border. And if in the first row you went into the back bumps, so you'll have two very nice finishing rows. And there you have it, and I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today, and I hope you enjoy making this pattern.